All right, everyone. Hello and welcome in. It is Wednesday, and around here, that means it is time for our weekly NFL Pick'em video as we head into Week 7 of the NFL season, of which the Vikings will not be a participant in. They are going to be on the bye. We are still going to go through and do our weekly routine, and that includes the NFL Pick'em video, which we are going to do right now today. So behind me is the whiteboard. For those of you who are new here, this is where I'll be making all of my selections in our head-to-head format. This is not against the spread. Points be damned, I am just going to pick outright who wins each game, and I will indicate who I am selecting so that you can follow along with these team pennants that I will place on the board so that you can all keep score at home and compare notes. Let me know who you have winning this week, etc., etc. Before we get into making picks, two things of note. Number one, I'm wearing the Minnesota Wild hat today to celebrate that overtime win last night against Winnipeg. It featured everything. We had a Superman punch. We had a hat trick by Eriksson Ek. Just I love this. I love the state of what the Minnesota Wild hockey team is right now, because it's better, it's faster, it's more aggressive. The 3-on-3 was exciting. Just all good things. 3-0 to start the season. Who could have predicted that, except for the Wild themselves? I just love what this team is this year compared to last year. Other thing to note is a recap of week 6 and how I've been doing overall this season. So last week, another good week. The week before, we were 12-4, and I was like, man, that's really good. That's one of the best weeks I've ever had. I don't know if I can recapture that magic. Sure enough, I did. If it wasn't for the fact that there was just a few fewer games last week because bye weeks have started, I probably could have matched it. But nevertheless, for week 6, I went 10-4 picking games. Overall in the season, a very healthy 61-33. This is one of the better starts to the year that I've ever had picking games. I think I did pretty good last year, but nowhere near this type of margin in terms of picking correctly and incorrectly. So the teams I picked correctly last week were the Bucks, Jaguars, Packers, Colts, Rams, Chiefs, Vikings, Ravens, Cowboys, and Steelers. Teams I chose incorrectly were the Detroit Lions. I've been trying to pick them a win throughout the season, and unfortunately I'm not going to do that today. Spoiler alert. Browns, Broncos, and Bills were the other 3 misses that I had last week. So let's get into week 7. We kick things off with Thursday night football between the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. And because of reports that have come out today with the Cleveland Browns just being further decimated by injury, I mean, go look at their injury report and their inactive list and their injured reserve. It's piling up by the day. Baker Mayfield will not be playing for the Cleveland Browns tomorrow night, so Case Keenum is going to get the start. So it's going to be Case Keenum versus Teddy Bridgewater, a Vikings nostalgia bowl, if you will. So we're going to get to see the best of 2015 to 2017 before Kirk Cousins showed up in action on Thursday night in primetime. And it's the wildest thing that I think I've ever seen. We've got Kevin Stefanski, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater. Unfortunately for Case Keenum and as Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns, they're just so banged up. They're just so decimated by injury. It's really going to come down to defense, winning field position, and not turning the ball over, and because they're not going to have Nick Chubb, they're not going to have Kareem Hunt. Their top 2 wide receivers are banged up. I don't really think I have to analyze this really any further to let you know what my choice is. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos just because they are the healthier the team of the 2. Moving on, next we have the Washington football team versus the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers have looked brilliant since their Week 1 loss to open the season against the Saints, where they committed some absolute debauchery on offense. Since then, the tides have turned. Devontae Adams is a freak of nature. The Washington football team has had a very disappointing defense so far this year. It was supposed to be the strength of this team, and a lot of people thought so, including myself, taking them high in fantasy football this year. So that hasn't turned out to be the case. I think Antonio Gibson's a little banged up. It's just the struggle bus is here for the Washington football team. I'm going to go with the Packers. I think this one's pretty easy to select. Aaron Rodgers is a man on a mission. Next, we have the Chiefs and the Titans. This one's kind of difficult, but I have my reasons for my selection. So the Chiefs won last week. You would think that they're probably going to be able to dig themselves out of the hole that they've created this first part of the season. And the Titans have been hot and cold. They have the embarrassing loss to the New York Jets, and then they're coming off a primetime win against the Bills where Derrick Henry just established dominance, which is what he's been doing all season. So couple the fact that Derrick Henry is probably the best running back in the NFL right now, hands down, and the fact that the Chiefs have one of the worst run defenses imaginable this season, it's hard not to pick the Titans to win this game. Who's going to stop Derrick Henry? Is it going to be the Chiefs? I don't think so. I think the Titans are going to steamroll with Derrick Henry once again, and his dominance will continue. Next, we have the Falcons versus the Dolphins. The Falcons are coming off the bye week, where their featured offensive weapon threat is Cordero Patterson. Go figure. The Dolphins find themselves in an interesting flummox because they're 1-5 on the season. They're in the bottom of their division. Nobody really thought that this team was going to be this bad. They lost to Tagovailoa for several weeks due to injury. The defense hasn't really lived up to what it was last year. And then today I see reports from John McClain, who, I know you're thinking diehard, but John McClain, the beat writer for the Houston Texans, that is a very reputable reporter amongst the NFL circle, saying that there could potentially be a trade that actually goes through involving Deshaun Watson and the Miami Dolphins this week. So we'll see if that happens. Even if it does, I wouldn't really pin the Dolphins to have Deshaun Watson ready to go, and he hasn't played for Houston at all anyway because the legal stuff is not going to go away anytime soon. Having said all of that, I think the Falcons are the better team. They'll be fresh off the bye, despite their offense being funneled through a halfback / wide receiver who never really broke out during his career. I think that the Falcons are still going to be too much for the Dolphins. Next, we have the Jets and the Patriots. I don't have to really spend too much time on this one. Jets are garbage. Patriots aren't really that great, but it's Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick hates the fucking New York Jets, and he will do anything to ensure victory against the New York Jets, their divisional rival. Moving on, we have the Panthers and the Giants. The Panthers, we know all too well from last week, have dropped 3-3 on the season. I've had people in my comment section saying that the Panthers are better than what they've been these past few weeks. I don't buy that. I think without Christian McCaffrey, this team is not very good on offense because Joe Brady has lost the sort of point of departure he was using for his creativity in the first half of the season. That, and they were playing bad teams. They started that 3-0 run playing horrific teams. So, let's make sure we point out that. As far as the Giants go, they're just simply worse with Daniel Jones. I'm not sure what the updated injury status is with Saquon Barkley and his ankle. But overall, the Giants just aren't a good football team. I think the Panthers are better, so I'm going to go with the Panthers to win this week over the Giants. Next, we have the Bengals and the Ravens. Who saw this coming? The battle of the heavyweights atop the AFC North Division. The Bengals look like they're for real. I think the Joe Burrow-Jamar Chase connection is going to be red hot for, a couple of years, at least the next 4 or 5, because Jamar Chase is just that good. And Joe Burrow is proving to be a very efficient quarterback. So he's still got a lot of growing to do, but I think he's going to get there. Unfortunately, they run into one of the hottest teams in the league, that is the Baltimore Ravens. And Lamar Jackson, you can only hope to contain him. I'm going to go with the Ravens in this divisional matchup, and the Ravens improve to 6-1. Bengals fall to 4-3. Next, we have the Eagles and the Raiders. So far, I feel like I haven't picked any upsets, and just for shits and giggles, this is going to be the one that I pick. I'm going to go with the Eagles over the Raiders. I don't know why. I can't justify it. The Raiders clearly have the better team. The fact that the whole head coach saga, didn't throw them off last week, kind of shuts down that narrative. So really, what can you point to say that the Raiders are going to lose this football game? I got nothing. I just have a hunch, and you can't go all chalk in these, so I'm going to try to pick this as an upset. Next, we have the Lions and the Rams. Next, we have the Texans and the Cardinals. The credit to the Houston Texans, that they've really been, fighting the good fight, if you will, despite the state of their roster. And, everyone expected the Houston Texans to just roll over and go 0-17 this year. But they're staying competitive. It hasn't resulted in a lot of wins, but they're still not the worst team in football, I guess, if I could put it that way. Problem is that the Cardinals might be. They're 6-0. They haven't lost yet. I don't foresee a loss coming right here. And they better not, because this is my survival league pick as well. We do a survival league where you pick, I don't know if you're familiar with what that is, but you pick a team each week to win, and as soon as you pick incorrectly, you're out. So far, I am still alive in the survival pool, and I'm picking the Cardinals to continue on and advance the next week, and we'll see how that goes. And if you're in one of those leagues, just great week to be alive in that, because you've got a lot of solid selections that you can make here. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chicago Bears. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. My number one rule is don't bet against Tom Brady. no reason to start now. I feel like the Bears offense is going to start to get better at some point, because you can only see a bad season for so long out of Allen Robinson and company. So I got to imagine that they're going to get off the schneid and end up producing on offense like we all thought that they could in the preseason. So, but for this week, as far as win-loss is concerned, I'm going to go with Tom Brady and the Bucs. Next, we have the 49ers coming off the bye week and going up against the Indianapolis Colts, who I have underestimated the Colts with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is actually playing some decent football, and Jonathan Taylor is a madman. He's probably like diet Derrick Henry, if you will. Maybe that's an unfair comparison or metaphor, but my point is that Jonathan Taylor is really good at football. However, I think the 49ers will be ready for this one. I'd like to see Trey Lance get another start. I'm not really sure what the status of that is. But I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one because I believe that they have the better overall team, and I'm going to pick them to get the win at home. Next, we have the Saints versus the Seahawks. The Seahawks are getting pretty banged up because I believe Rashad Penny is going to be featured in this as he comes off IR, with Alex Collins a little banged up. And, of course, they've already lost Chris Carson to the 3-game IR as is. Geno Smith, I think, can still be a competent quarterback. You know, he's a decent backup, but he's a horrible starter. And they did as good as they probably could have against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. But the Saints are a different animal. The Saints have the potential to be able to turn this into a rout early on with Jameis Winston and, his arm strength getting the ball down the field with Alvin Kamara and company. So I'm just going to go with the Saints because I think that this is the safe selection. No reason to get cute and pick an upset here. So those are my selections for week 7 of the NFL season. It sucks that the Vikings are not a part of this week, but that's going to give us a little bit of a mental break as far as the fans are concerned. And let me know what you think in the comments below about my selections. Do you agree with the justifications? And what are your picks / upset picks for the week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.